this is the Avocado Gamescast, the only gaming podcast that hasn't yet featured Jeff Grubb. We're going to have him on eventually. We'll pay him an exposure. It'll be great. Don't worry. Anyway, we're recording this in January 2022, so we have a perfect opportunity to peer into our crystal balls and take a look at the year ahead. But before we get to that, let's introduce the fine folks who are joining me today. He's saving up his primos to pull on the Raiden Shogun's banner. It's Lutair.
Hi, I'm actually saving up for Yaya Miko now. I already have right.
I wouldn't expect any less from you. She just wants to give Craig a pat in the head. It's Lovely Bones.
Hi, very happy to be back. As a lesbian, I have a lot of practice with people with mohawks, which I believe Craig does have in the finished game. Anyway, go ahead.
That he does. And finally, he modded Skyrim into Skyrim so he can fuss row what the fuss row does. It's the Kappa.
Oh my god, I'm shocked this thing even keeps running. Honestly, what's going on anymore? It's like a collection of like hope at this point. It's the only reason it keeps going. It's like I believe it will run, so it does.
You like cross yourself every time you fire it up.
I mean, the good news about Skyrim now, it's stable enough that like as long as like it launches, you're usually good to go. But like there's always that like 2 seconds where you're waiting for that little symbol to come up, and you're like, oh, is this the time? But
it's like a similar feeling to when you put together a PC and you turn it on for the first time.
Yeah. I tell every single one of my friends, I said, look, it's probably not going to post the very first time because you probably didn't seat the memory right. Don't freak out, And then
it's gonna roll when it's gonna roll when the Bethesda cycle starts over again when Starfield launches, and it takes 18 months to be functional.
And
I cannot wait for that.
Starfield is high on my list of anticipation. I'll tell you that.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that for a very different reason than you.
I'm like weirdly cautiously optimistic.
I just like the glitch videos. I've never liked a Bethesda game.
I think there's we'll talk about it more, but I think there's a reason to be cautiously optimistic, I would say.
Yeah.
I respect that.
So how are y'all doing like over the winter break and stuff?
Oh, we got a bunch of snow. It's been weird. We don't normally get too much snow. We gotten 4 or 5 inches, and the kids have had like 3 days off of school now, and I am ready for them to go back. It's like they've just got back from winter break, it feels like, and then we had a holiday here or there. And it just always seems like there's something, So I am 100% ready for them to go back. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's been super duper cold here. It's been like minus 25 before wind chill. This is Celsius, by the way.
Yikes.
Yeah, so minus 25 Celsius or so.
Still pretty cold.
Yeah. And with wind chill factor, it's been like minus 37, minus 38. So you can't even go outside.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's not been great. Usually it's not this cold. Usually highs are around minus 4, minus 5 this time of year. But now it's just brutal.
Yeesh. I'm getting used to the cold myself. We moved from Arizona to Massachusetts, so we got to see snow falling, and I'm wearing layers now. It's a whole deal.
Oh, I know that feeling. I know that feeling very well. Moving from Texas to Missouri and then New Mexico.
Yeah, that's kind of like ping-ponging back and forth.
It sure is. New Mexico is actually fine right now. I'd say it's been hovering in the 40s and 50s Fahrenheit. We've had less snow than usual. I'm not trying to brag, just like
been lucky.
Yeah.
So, Lutair, have you like discovered your inner like pumpkin spice drinker?
Kind
Join
of.
us.
Massachusetts is Dunkin' territory.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been enjoying the dunks.
Yeah. I lived up in New England.
That makes Massachusetts kind of like Quebec, right? Quebec's for Dunkin' reigns supreme.
Yeah, New England is very pro Dunkin'. Once you get outside of that, that's when you start getting into Starbucks country. But yeah, you will get. I don't know. There's been a lot of up and down with Dunkin' though, from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's not as good as it used to be.
Yeah.
it's actually pretty tasty. So I still grab a breakfast sandwich and
Do
lattes.
do coffee places change the recipe? This is an earnest question.
No, I mean like Dunkin's a lot sweeter than Starbucks. Like almost like ridiculously sweet. I think. I'm not a big coffee fan, but
It kind of depends though. Like Tim Hortons has gone through so many cycles of being good and bad and good again.
Yeah.
Like when I was in undergrad, I used to live near a 24-hour Tim Hortons, and you could get cheap meals there, and it was great. And then I moved away from Canada for a while, and Tim Hortons got awful in my absence, so it's kind of my fault, I guess.
Yeah, my buddy, we went to go visit him in Canada, and he talked about it so much. And then he's like, "Well, actually, I haven't been there in that long." We went, and it was awful. He felt so bad. He like spent, I don't know, 20 minutes apologizing for overhyping it.
Tim Hortons should apologize for sucking.
Yeah. I guess he was saying they got bought by Burger King.
Yeah, so actually, here's the funny thing. It's technically the other way around. Tim Hortons, the holding company that owned Tim Hortons, like they effectively merged, but now the headquarters of that whole company are in Canada. So technically, Burger King is Canadian now.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
You can taste it.
The NX square of fast food, of quick service.
Yeah, pretty much. So we should see some more combination BK Tims in the future.
Yeah.
But until that point, let's talk about what we played over the holidays. Lutair, what did you play?
So I started a game. It's like apparently really been around a long time, but I think it's still technically early access. It's called Project Zomboid.
Oh, baby.
Yeah,
technically early access. That game's been out for like 15 years, technically.
I think it's still not a full. I don't know.
The mixed responses in this group are fascinating. Because I'm fully on the Merve side of like, what the hell is he talking about?
I'm intrigued. I'm opening up Steam right now to check out what this is.
I'll let Lutair understand it, but this game has been out like I think it came out in like maybe 2011, and it's morphed into this whole different thing now.
Oh man, decade-long early access.
Yeah. For those who haven't heard of it, Project Zomboid is like a what do you call it? Isometric zombie like apocalypse simulator, basically.
Okay, no, I gotta interrupt you for a second, because literally I opened Steam and went to the front page. The first thing under featured and recommended was Project Zomboid, just by coincidence. Okay, sorry.
Right up your alley.
It's
like it's listening to us. Okay, Lutair, continue, please. Sorry.
Yeah, so basically you're thrust into, you're in your house or whatever, and there's zombies outside pretty quickly. And you have to you start with a certain amount of skills and stuff, and you build up over time, and you try and survive as long as you can. I think it's one of those games because I've been playing with a few friends, so we've only been playing like once a week basically. But basically, I think it's one of those games where you will eventually just die and lose that character, and then you can create a new character in the same world and like go to your base, so you have a bunch of the supplies that you've already gathered. But yeah, it's actually been really fun. We were looking for something that like 5 people can play together.
Yeah, sometimes when you get those odd numbers, it's really tough.
Yeah. We before that we're doing a modded version of Stardew Valley, but I think we kind of played the crap out of Stardew, so I think we got a little burned out from that and wanted something new. And this looked fun. I think we saw Box streaming it, and we were like, "Hey, maybe we should try this." And then
it's a fun game. It really is. It's
but also not done.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, there's a reason it's been in early access. They've kind of gone back to the drawing board. I've lost how many times. I bought this game like on release. That's how long I've had it. But it's really fun at times. Like, it's one of those games where like the randomness feels cool and not like punishing sometimes, and like you'll lose a character to some bullshit, but you're like, whatever. It's usually not that painful to start out. It's kind of like in that line of like, I would almost call it like a really, really, really good like Flash game that kind of developed into something more.
Yeah, it definitely has that feel.
But it's enjoyable. I think it kind of like I feel like State of Decay is like the super polished version of it. If that's like if you're looking for something that maybe is a little more mainstream, but Zomboid has like such a little like fandom. It's weird because like I'll like you know how you get those updates on Steam. It's like new thing out, all right, and I've been getting that for 10 years, but it just seems in the last like 6 months. Like other people have started flipping it on and playing it on. I think it's still in early access. I don't think it even came out, but
Yeah, still
it's
there.
it's such a like a weird little phenomenon of like just this. I think they've even basically said like this game's never going to be done. It's not like a game as a service type game. It's just they always are putting in like something new. So because a lot of people are like, well, you know, when do I jump in? They're like, just jump in now. I mean, the game you play now might not be the same game you play in 6 months, but you know, no reason not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been in early access since November 8th, 2013.
Yeah.
So that's been a while.
There's
And
a little bit of time.
yeah, we were really enjoying the multiplayer aspect of that. I know you can do what do you call it, where you can hear each other based on where your character
Oh yeah,
is.
proximity chat.
Proximity chat, but
Yeah.
we were just, you know, kind of cheating out of that. And but yeah, like setting up roles and yelling at Sarah every time that she messes something up.
Gosh, Sarah.
It's a fun game. I like. There's almost no reason not to try it because I think it's still like I think it's regularly on sale for like below $5 if you pay attention, if you put it on the wish list. But yeah, I really like Zomboid. It's just one of those things like they get a whole new life almost as a game, and it's cool that they stuck with the development for that long, and now it's kind of like hitting a little bit of that like people are like, what the hell is this game? This looks awesome, and it's just been a labor of love for the most part for them for so long.
Yeah, it's been there for a while. It looks like they have a huge write-up under their early access game box that details everything they still have left to do for version 1.0.
Yeah.
Who knows when they'll reach that milestone?
It's like a Dwarf Fortress type development. You know what I mean? Like every time you think they're done with it and they're like feature complete, nope. It's like a whole new like set of stuff that they're gonna roll out. But it's not in a bad way. It's just like I guess it's like a very artistic thing. Like they just keep getting more good ideas and they have to keep putting them in the game. So I'm not gonna complain about that.
It's kind of
Absolutely.
interesting coming in so late too, because I'll look up like how to do something and I'll find like a WikiHow article from like 7 years ago. Like what?
Like none of that is currently even in the game now. Yeah. It you know like other like long running games like WoW, World of Warcraft sometimes get stuff like that too. Like you'll go to look something up and it's like you know they'll be like the most recent post like never mind all of this, none of this is in the game anymore. Now you just go here and click this thing or whatever. But yeah, I could see that definitely being like that for Zomboid.
All right. Bones, what did you play over the holidays?
So many things. I've been I've been working on this 2021 games in review article for a while, right? And I'm literally just like crunching out as many indie games on Game Pass as I can, just to have
like
as
a
have as
conveyor
played.
belt of indies.
Yeah, just a conveyor belt of 2021 indies to make this as substantial as possible. I'll go with WarioWare. That seems novel for this crowd. Yeah, I got WarioWare Get It Together for the Nintendo Switch for Christmas for my parents, and I've played it at least once a day for most days since then. So that's about a month.
Yeah, I've heard that that they've incorporated kind of this like co-op setup now.
Yeah, this one was probably like the biggest change to the series in a very long time, like since touch controls were first implemented. It's really radical. So the basis of WarioWare is that you have what are called micro games. It's like a mini game but smaller. Still, like the idea is that there's a simple command on screen, usually one or two words, and a very tight timer in which to complete the command. It's about like reflexes and reading, reading and reacting as quickly as possible. And Yeah, now you have this thing where instead of directly interfacing with the microgames as you did with the GBA and the DS and so on and so forth, now you have actual on-screen avatars from the WarioWare ensemble cast in full chibi 3D models. They're interacting with the microgames directly because quite literally the characters have been sucked into their own game.
That
And
seems odd, but interesting.
it is extremely odd and extremely interesting. I find WarioWare ever since I got the 3DS one was like a compilation title, and ever since I got the demo of the 3DS one, I've been like addicted to WarioWare because I can just like go through a cycle of micro games for as long as possible until I get eliminated. It's just very satisfying and creative and varied in how many different kinds of games and different things you'll be doing just seconds apart.
I've heard also like part of it, especially when you play for the first time, is kind of figuring out what each game does.
Yeah, there's a barrier of entry that is just discerning what's going on in the game. I like that's not a universal thing. Sometimes they're very, very straightforward and simple. I would say this game has a slightly overall higher barrier of entry on discerning what's going on with the game than the past games, specifically because of how they've redesigned them to have them be directly interacted with and manipulated with by the character avatars. And the way the different characters play is really fun because sometimes you have a character who has a full range of movement where they can walk across the ground and fly, and that's actually important. That distinction is very important. But then you also have characters who are grounded, who are only flyers. You have a character who can't control their movement; they're literally just going back and forth, and you just have to pinpoint what you're doing without controlling exactly where you are at a given moment. So there's a lot of time in there. There's a there's a character who can't move at all. So he just throws discs at everything.
It's like Tron, but in Mario.
Yeah.
I always like the zaniness of WarioWare a little bit more than the kind of like Mario Party. I mean, Mario Party's, plenty crazy, don't get me wrong, but I just like, I remember like the first WarioWare, I think might have been 3DS, where like it would just like say one word, like the little micro game would begin and it would say like shave, and you're like, what? Like the clock's ticking, shave, come on, what are you doing?
That's definitely a lot of the fun of it. It's a very strong tone and creative vision. You have games ranging from like this kid's licking his ice cream cone really aggressively, and the ice cream is just stacked really high, and it's leaning over and falling over. So you have to carefully lean against the ice cream to keep it from falling over, but you can't push too hard or it'll fall over the other way, and you have to go around. There's one where there's two rockets on in front of you, and you have to make sure and pick the right rocket because the other one like won't take off.
See, I love stuff like that. It just gets so weird. Like it does. Like I think maybe like Merve was kind of hinting. It does kind of sometimes get to a point with it where it's like, okay, well, like at this point, I've kind of done it so much, I don't really like. I've almost memorized exactly when it happens, almost.
Sure. It's a demanding game because it's reflex heavy, and then also you get to a certain point where it's very familiarized, so it's gonna have probably diminishing returns for someone who isn't as hooked on it as I am.
Is on the newest one, is the soundtrack still banging? Because
absolutely. The soundtrack
that's the most important part.
The soundtrack's so banging. I was literally just listening to the new lyrical theme song that they did for this one, because there's always one like introduced per gen of WarioWare. You might have heard Ashley's song on Smash Brothers. Yeah, this one is called Penny's song. It's about a young scientist singing about her intrepid adventures as a scientist, and it's part of the end game, and it's just really charming.
I remember like Mona Pizza was from one of them, I think.
Yes. Oh, I can't emphasize enough how so much larger than you think the WarioWare like character ensemble. considerably larger than I realized before I started actually playing the games firsthand, and I'm me.
I think the thing I remember more than anything about WarioWare is like lying awake at night, just like hearing the music in my head.
Yeah, I completely get that. It's very memorable music.
Mhm.
All right, Kappa, what have you been playing?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely playing Skyrim. I was going to talk about Skyrim, but it's boring Skyrim, so we've talked about it a million times. Instead, I want to talk about Battle for Middle-earth 2, all 11 discs of it that I installed the other day. And man, I had a real good blast from the past with that game.
Wait, that game
It's
came from 11 CD-ROMs?
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
And like I had to actually like go buy a whatchamacallit, little like an external CD thing to install all of them because my computer didn't have one built in. So I went down to Best Buy and spent like $20, got some cheapo one. That's USB. It's such a fun, weird RTS that I think that one of the reasons it's never really kind of successfully taken off is because they try to do so much stuff with with the resource part of it. You need gigantic gobs of areas to get the passive resource going, and your resource areas can't overlap. So it's not like you can just build, the equivalent of like a gold mine in a farm, right? And then just wall around it and sand it. The game really pushes you to be very aggressive and expansive, which is fun sometimes as an RTS, but it really gets me out of my comfort zone. In a lot of ways, that's kind of where I usually like to be. Is okay. Well, I'll secure my supply line, and then and then I'll slowly branch out, and I'll defend, and I'll tech, but Battle for Middle Earth 2 especially really pushes you to get out there and go fight. Like even your initial starting pack of units actually has to go out there and do stuff, whether it's capture area or kill people or just kind of make a push. And it's been a while since I felt out of like an RTS comfort zone. Probably the last time was Halo 2 or Halo Wars 2. But it's a really, really, really underrated RTS that like I think the availability of the fact you can't play it pretty much kind of is never going to let it take back off and have a second life it should have. But really the reason I was playing is because we were talking about the new Dune, and there's just kind of this new feeling of like, okay, maybe some of this old stuff is coming back around. Plus, it was the big anniversary for Lord of the Rings, and it's probably my favorite Lord of the Rings game, period. Which isn't saying a lot because some of them have been real stinkers, but
yeah,
I've really been enjoying it. I don't know, like I don't think there's a way people can legally play it, which sucks. But if you can find it anywhere, it's such a weird experience as far as RTSs go. How normally like an RTS will kind of do a balance the sides by basically making everything a little bit the same but only a little bit different. This game does not even try to do that. It's like, nope. The orcs, the humans, the goblins, totally different, right? The dwarves totally different, the elves totally different. So you've got all these totally different factions that they don't even really give a idea about balancing in some ways, which is cool, I think.
Yeah, otherwise it just feels like every faction is the same and that you're not really getting anything out of experimenting with them.
Yeah. And it does a good job of making it feel like not only are these guys different, they have different goals and end games and stuff like that. And it's got to create a hero. So, I mean, this was right in that wheelhouse of let's put heroes in everything type timeline, right? So normally you get, your these are the NPC heroes, and you can play versions of them in the the co-op and the campaign and everything else. But this is your set of heroes. This one lets you build and customize a hero, like down to like their color palette, their power set. It's really interesting. You can make an overpowered hero, but they cost a ton of materials to get out the gate. Versus if you make them real easy with real simple power set, they're super cheap and you can get them out faster. And so you're really designing. What is my hero an end game, you can't stop me type hero? Is my hero a early game, I'm going to rush you and you're just going to be stuck? That's kind of some of the interesting choices you can make, but not many RTS are letting you make a hero, much less kind of break the game one way or another around it. I don't like. I feel like I know a lot about Lord of the Rings, but I'm not like a super deep lore guy for Lord of the Rings. I just don't know what I don't know, kind of with it.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of the complaints were like, this plays fast and loose with a lot of the lore, and it's not canon and this and that. And I'm fine with that for the most part, honestly. Like, I don't know. I don't think everything needs to be exactly 100% based on it. So it plays a lot fast and loose with a lot of the stuff, but. I like seeing the dwarves go help the elves, or the humans end up in a fight with the goblins and things like that. I just think it's a cool way to kind of tell the story, even if it's not super accurate to the history of Lord of the Rings. So I'd say check it out if you can. It's kind of hard to recommend it because who knows if you can even buy it.
Right.
It's one of those games in like legal hell because the Lord of the Rings license, it was made by EA, who definitely don't have the license anymore. But I
Yeah.
think it
My
pops
understanding
up on a
is
website.
like the token company, which is effectively J.R.R. Tolkien's estate,
Mhm.
licenses out the rights somewhat piecemeal, and most of them have been licensed out to WB right now. That's my
Mhm.
understanding, but I might be mistaken on this. So
Yeah.
someone look that up for me, please.
Sounds right. Sounds right to me.
No,
Um,
it sounds right to me too. That yeah, WB has the film rights, and they decide to just stick to the one licensing partner for the most part, outside of the Amazon show.
right. So just to mention what I've been playing, so I started Halo Infinite last night, but I'm not going to talk
Yeah.
about that because everyone has
Yay!
talked about it. Um,
Sure.
I'm not going to talk about. I have played. I started this week. I started Breath of the Wild, but I'm not going to talk about that because everyone's heard of Breath of the Wild. I finished Tales of Arise and Chicory over the holidays, but I'm not going to talk
Man.
about those because everyone's talked about those to death. Instead, I'm going to talk about a 2D platformer from a decade ago called Typewriter. So, this is kind of like a physics-based 2D platformer where you play as a colon in a world of
Mm.
typography. Um, so platforms are things like printing presses and posters and letters um, and various other things related to the history of printing. So it's got
Did
this really neat art design as each level kind of follows a different era of printing from like writing cuneiform on tablets all the way to printing electronically on computers. And like I said, you play as a colon. Movement is kind of normal when you're lying flat on your side, when both dots of the colon are lying on the ground. But when you can kind of get upright by moving around the world, and then you kind of roll back and forth, and that's where I say the physics-based part comes in.
Mm.
We're kind of rolling back and forth on one of the dots. Um,
So is this kind of like that? Oh, what is that game that where you have to climb the mountain where you're the guy in the pot?
no, it's not like Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy.
Okay.
It's a more traditional type of 2D platformer with a little bit of that physicsy
Okay.
sensation mixed in. So it's really more like a traditional platformer, just with that
Gotcha.
typography theming. Um, you've got collectibles, which are what else the letters of the alphabet, and then if you collect ampersands, are kind of like your hidden collectibles, and asterisks are your special collectibles that give you tidbits of typographical history. So this is, I guess, also edutainment. So
Mm.
give
I
it to
wasn't
your
expecting
kids and
that. Yeah.
have them play it too.
Here you go, kids.
Yeah, in case your kids are really interested in Gutenberg
Typography.
and Dido and all these other figures, um,
I was.
now you can be. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead, go read into it. Like it goes on
Yeah.
sale very frequently. I think I got this for 49 cents.
Ooh.
Very nice. Yeah, no, it sounds really cool. I assume the final boss is a wicked game of Scrabble, or like a hand-to-hand duel with a semicolon.
Okay, I can I actually spoil what the final like
Go
level
for it.
is?
Yeah.
Okay, so you keep going through typographical history all the way through the era of computers, and then you arrive at the end, and there's a secret level. So each level is themed after a font, from like Gothic through Futura, through Pixel as you get more and more modern. And the last level is this like insane troll level based on Comic Sans, and it's playing like and it's got like all the internet memes, like the LOL troll and like a rainbow unicorn
What?
and just burgers flying all over the place.
That fucking rules. Pardon me. I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to be a little less profane these days, but
That's fine.
that's
You can say
awesome.
it does fucking roll. It's great. Like it's also like terrible, so you feel like the level trolling you as you play it. Because in most of the levels you have checkpoints, and this one has no checkpoints. You have to do it all in one go as you're being chased by a
Oh
giant
man.
cat with laser eyes. So that was my experience 2 nights ago. Me struggling with that.
Is this Steam only? Is it on any consoles? I know I'm a weenie that doesn't play computer games.
I played it on Steam. Let me check if it's on anything else.
Thank you.
Um, it's on Steam, PS4, Vita, Android, iOS, and Switch.
Vita?
Yeah.
Never mind. It came out the early 10s, so that makes sense. No, okay. If it's on PS4 and Switch, then those are ideal platforms. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, it came out on
Thank you
Switch
so much.
actually in 2019.
Awesome.
Even though it originally came out, I mean, it was originally released for iOS and Android in 2013, and then a few weeks later on Windows. So it's been
Okay.
around for a while.
Awesome.
Looking at it, it almost looks like it's like a weird version of Limbo aesthetically.
Yeah, it kind of has some of those mechanics.
Huh.
It's like friendly Limbo, I guess, because you will die a lot, especially in the later levels, where the platform gets difficult. Go ahead.
Sorry, Somerville. This is the true aesthetic evolution of the Play Dead stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing scarier than that last level.
Yeah, in fact, funnily enough, Eurogamer awarded this game with a score of 8 out of 10, praising how it manages to offer a combination of the style of Limbo and the challenges of the Trials series.
What?
That's a weird analogy.
All right. Thank you, Eurogamer.
Games Press. I'm allowed to make Games Press jokes. I'm kind of one of them.
Absolutely. Make fun of anything you want. So that's what we've been playing. Let's kind of very briefly discuss what will almost certainly be the biggest gaming story of the year, unless I don't know, Nintendo goes to the moon or something. It could happen. We don't know. Yep, I remember that. So let us discuss this acquisition of Microsoft. By I was gonna say Microsoft by Activision. Other way around, Activision by Microsoft.
That would be some shit.
That would be weird, man.
That would be fucking nuts.
It would be. So just to kind of set the stage, I'm gonna talk for a couple of minutes. I'm gonna I kind of try to silo this. I shouldn't say silo this. I think of this as from three perspectives. One is what this means for games. So how this is going to affect Activision's franchises, what might get made or not get made as a result of this acquisition, what this means for the industry, like what this means in terms of consolidation, competition going forward, what this means for the tech sector more broadly, and finally, kind of the most important for this is what this means for the workers who make these games.
I was going to say what this means to me, but
yeah,
I guess
what does it mean for me personally?
Listen, the games thread has you covered on what this value what value this has to you personally.
Yeah,
you can get that out there. I assure you.
Yeah, so this means, I mean, this does mean a lot for like unionization efforts, what this is going to mean for addressing long-standing issues with discrimination and misconduct. And I think it's very tempting to kind of look at this in terms of a reductive notion of this is really good or this is really bad. And I kind of wanted to get past that a bit and talk about what this means for all these different issues that are going to pop up over the course of the acquisition.
Yeah.
So let's start with kind of it seems a little reductive to call this least important, but because this is a gaming discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what does this mean for games, especially the Call of Duty franchise, which has basically become Activision's only output?
Yeah.
Like everything
Even
they do.
even before Schreier said that they were already discussing dropping the annualization of Call of Duty, I like that was where my mind first went as far as like Microsoft like having a software management approach. My very first thought was like, okay, Call of Duty is gonna come out twice a gen, and all of the people that are supposed to work on Call of Duty and weren't just thrown into the Vanguard fires like Toys for Bob was. All of the main Call of Duty guys will just work on one game for a period of years and then start from scratch. And Warzone gets to be its own thing because that's a free-to-play live service.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
that's
talking
my that's 100% my instinct on Call of Duty.
talking about those three strains, I think this is probably the most positive one. I think if I had to say like my own personal
Sure.
guesses,
Yeah.
I really think that this gives like a lot of these studios who have just been grist for the Call of Duty cycle a chance to
Right.
go back and do what they want to do. I mean, Ravensoft, High Noon, these
Mhm.
studios have been like they've made great games and they don't even get a
Mhm.
chance really to do anything else because they're
I-
busy, you know.
I wonder how Vicarious Visions feels about the fact that they were fully absorbed into Blizzard before this happened.
It's so
Yeah.
weird. I mean,
Boy, that timing in hindsight is very regrettable.
Would
No,
you see that-
I
Go
sorry. Good. Okay. Yeah, I think it can probably be agreed upon that Microsoft is fairly relatively proven that in the Game Pass era, in the Phil Spencer era, that they have a solid approach to software development, that they don't rush projects, they don't force a focus on a specific kind of format or genre. They encourage variety and variety not just in genre and mechanics but also in scale. Like they
Yeah.
encourage smaller projects, which Activision Blizzard basically didn't outside of their mobile division. Like there's definitely positives in that sense. I'm happy for the people who are developers who are currently there, who genuinely want to be able to stay there and be able to work happily.
What about that one COD bro who was so excited for 35 new COD games every year?
I mean, I don't even know if it's bad news for them because I mean, I do know the COD bros and they're as mad about not about this, but about where COD's gone in the past couple of years as anybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
Vanguard's not a well-liked game for the
And
most part.
the past 3 or 4 have been ups and downs. You know, they've done stuff like not had single player. They've separated out Warzone. The zombies experience isn't as good. Like, it's been kind of a spiraling, franchise in a lot of ways because they haven't really had the time to put the effort into it because it's got to come out every year now.
It's been a monster that has just gotten too big. Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
even what the most well-received one, Call of Duty 2019, from the past few years, had massive problems in like the multiplayer co-op mode.
You called it one of the worst games you played.
I mean, that was because I'm
Yeah.
I'm one of the few people who really, really hated the single player campaign.
Right.
But even outside of that, it had massive issues in the multiplayer that I don't think ever got ironed out.
Yeah.
Because they just moved on.
Yeah. That's really become a problem. So hopefully they can get that under control now that there'll be a little bit less pressure.
My one counterpoint to everything I was just saying about software is I don't think that's worth any of the trade-offs that I see as, likely or even just potential, like, and I made sure to talk about that, like how this can be good for developers who want to make games and to want to enjoy their work. Like I wanted to emphasize that because that's more important than the benefit to the gamers, TM. But
I think there's like even on Twitter, there's been a lot of excitement for some of those studios to be like, finally, like I can do the stuff I wanted to do.
A lot of contacts I have in the union, the burgeoning unions and the better ABK social media. There's a lot of enthusiasm there, and that's nice, and I am happy for them. I do have a lot of concerns, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to approach this in a nuanced complex fashion.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's actually talk about what this means for the industry.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to contextualize that I think has been kind of like, and I'll admit my first knee-jerk reaction was, "Oh wow, this is apocalyptic." Um, this
Yeah,
is
same.
much smaller a merger than a lot of people think it is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
even
that's fair.
yeah, it's not like Disney Fox. It's
Yeah,
even after this
it
merger, Microsoft will
it's
still be the third biggest company in the gaming space.
right. It two. I don't think two of the top 10 public game companies becoming one should be too diminished still.
Yeah,
But you're right.
like
You're
it's
right that the fact of the matter is that the games industry is very competitive. It's like when you get into the number of relatively major publishers, it numbers in the dozens.
yeah,
Um,
my worry out of this is not so much what happens immediately. My worry is, does this
yeah,
touch off
it's a
like an
chilling effect.
acquisition
Arms
arms
race,
race?
It's a chilling effect and an arms race, the long-term effects. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
absolutely my biggest
sorry,
concern.
can I like call out some dude right now?
Please.
Like Keeley,
I love
Jeff
it.
Keeley goes and puts up this
Oh,
tweet.
fucking Keeley.
It looks like it's this shopping list, right, of all
Yeah.
these major publishers, and it's such a misleading thing to put up. I mean, market cap is not acquisition price,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That is just
Yeah.
not how that works.
Like you do have to buy the stocks to buy the company, but that's a single facet of valuation revenue.
Yeah. And
It's
that's
way
a
then,
more
good point
important.
because a lot of people are saying, well, Bobby Kotick made $390 million. No, they bought his stock. That's how these acquisitions work, like
Sure.
yeah, and then like the other thing that's misleading about all this about doing
Mhm.
that is most of those companies aren't looking to get acquired.
right.
Right? Like,
It's true.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
true.
Ubisoft does not want to get bought, right? Take-Two does not want to get bought
Many,
right now.
many of these companies are actively, regularly fending off buyout offers.
Yeah.
As it is, it took a lot of extenuating circumstances to get to ZeniMax being in such a financial state that they put themselves up for sale and were almost bought by EA instead of Microsoft. I'm going to keep mentioning that to people because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then, Activision, the extenuating circumstances where the cultural well had been so thoroughly poisoned that Phil Spencer literally said, "Hey, what if I just take this hassle off your hands and clean it up for you?"
Get rid of Bobby. That's the other part of it. So
Getting rid of Bobby is not nothing, but it's only one guy, and the problems of Activision have been so effectively demonstrated, so extensive. Like even if he gets rid of every executive, like currently, the board of directors that stood by Bobby, Fran Townsend, and the other guy who used to be in the
personally
trumpet
murders them.
He just like sends a hit out on Brian Bulatow. Don't do that.
even-
Don't murder Brian Bulatow, please.
I would take a full executive sweep as a win over just firing Bobby.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be enough.
There's real
there's
cultural
gonna be
change that needs to happen.
absolutely. And I call me a cynic, but I don't trust that a businessman, even a businessman who's very good at putting on a friendly face, will take that as seriously as he should and be as extensive about it as he should.
one thing,
Sorry, go ahead.
talking about, the industry effects and stuff like that. One of the things I think is now, Microsoft was the first one to maybe reach out when they, from what I at least read, wasn't even for sale. But I think a lot about who could have been the other people who bought this. Like, what if this was Facebook? What if this was Netflix? What if this was Google? I mean,
sorry. The reporting talked about that after Phil Spencer made the initial outreach, and Kotick was very resistant to it. Kotick, anyway. Like Kotick literally from like after Spencer messaged him first, he tried to float the idea of if anyone wants to make a bid, and no one took it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which says so much on its own, but also, in terms of what company could have afforded to do this, like it's the other tech giants. It's your Googles, your
Or
Amazons,
Tencent.
your Apples, or Tencent.
Tencent's habit has been to make like very small acquisitions, but make a lot of them.
Tencent's very, very precise. They buy small companies or they invest. They won't even fully buy out something if it's big enough, like
they buy controlling
like Don't Nod.
stakes.
Yeah,
things
they
like
just
that.
get investments.
Same with Embracer. I think recently Embracer made some big acquisitions. They bought Dark Horse, which
Gearbox.
was weird. Oh yeah, Gearbox as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about
Embracer's one of the most aggressive ones, for sure.
Like think about how aggressive Amazon's been with trying to get a game out the door and functioning, and this was, you know what I mean? This was right there for the taking. And
New World was not functional. Sorry.
We've
not
talked about that a lot on here.
Yeah.
I don't know if moving over to Amazon from the I don't think that sells in the press. It's like, oh guys, we'll fix everything. We'll be Amazon now.
Of course not.
No.
Of course not. But Kappa does raise a fair point, which is like, yeah, it's easy to become irrationally afraid of like one of the tech giants just impulsively buying anything they can afford to, which is about everything. But yeah, Amazon and Google have been investing in this space for like a decade and haven't been that aggressive, and also mercifully have also failed miserably, and that tends to scare them off.
Google has been moving away from this.
Google is so blatantly downsizing their operation.
Yeah. And let's kind of also talk about how this is. We alluded to this earlier. How this is affecting labor.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna eat crow here. I think I wrote online like, oh, unionization efforts are dead, and then Raven QA went and formed a union.
Raven went public. Yeah, Raven went public with their union anyway. I mean, fundamentally, that was a decision made by individuals. Pardon me.
Yeah.
That was a judgment based on new information and new environmental context, and they thought it was the right decision.
At a certain point, who all the luck in the world.
Yes, of course, we wish them all the luck in the world. No, that's what I'm saying is, as much as I believe in my, I don't know, relative value as a commentator, as a journalist, like at a certain point, it's who are we to say that they were totally wrong to do that? If they thought it was the right decision to make, then I don't know, they probably know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
they're actual game developers that have probably dealt with mergers and acquisitions before if they've been in the industry long enough.
I mean, maybe this is something where they're like, if we get this done before the acquisition, then it sticks.
Exactly.
And it's going to be very hard to undo. So now's the time to get it done. And
that's 100%
hopefully this cascades.
Yes,
Microsoft has traditionally not been super duper union friendly.
No, it's very, very union unfriendly. I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah, so I think now's the time to get it done if they're going to get it done.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah,
cascades.
You guys have about a calendar year to really try and push this and iron this out and put internal pressure on Activision. And yeah, I really, really hope it goes well for them. It's not the most optimism-inspiring atmosphere, but again, I trust and respect their judgment, and I'm willing to see how it plays out.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is potentially positive here is it hasn't been Microsoft's habit when they made these gaming acquisitions to lay people off, at least on the Phil Spencer era. So I think jobs are probably safe for now. My worry is, what happens after Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella leave?
Of course, yeah. And there's also the worry of like, if they're really heavily rearranging how ABK is like organized, which isn't an impossible thing to imagine because ABK is not well organized.
It's a mess.
They could redundancies could be created just in a less overtly malicious process, and would be unfortunate in its own way. But yes, it's absolutely important to think like really long term and just say, Spencer's not going to be around forever. He's a middle-aged guy.
The other thing is like Nadella's been very supportive of Microsoft's gaming efforts as a CEO, which like Ballmer never believed in as much. Like Ballmer thought they'd just walk in with the Xbox, they'd capture the market, and life would be grand. And
Ballmer had the Google thing of, it didn't go our way immediately, so he gave up.
Miscalculated. Nadella's thinking long term, not just in terms of getting a foothold in the gaming market, but using game streaming and the like as kind of a Trojan horse to sell
Yeah.
cloud services to everyone. Like
Yeah.
Microsoft's business these days is Azure. They have contracts with everyone for
Yep.
their cloud services. In fact, part of the reason they opened up so many cloud servers up in Canada was so that they could get government contracts up here.
Yep.
It's a big deal for them to be running this kind of service, and running a successful cloud streaming service just sells this, their cloud services all the more.
It's undeniably smart business.
Yeah. My and I think we also should acknowledge that there does, like as Bones pointed out, there does need to be a cultural change at ABK.
Yes.
I don't know whether that's going to happen. I'm not saying this to like hedge my bets or because I'm a Pollyanna and I'm optimistic about any of these things. I genuinely don't know whether they're going to do that.
Yeah,
It's hard to really know what happens. I think it's better than letting them languish under Kodak's leadership, but
of course,
I don't know if it's infinitesimally better or significantly better, and that's really hard for me to say right now.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this before we move on to predicting 2022?
You're gonna get when my news roundup publishes sometime after we record this. Y'all are gonna be getting in plenty of earfuls from me on this anyway, so I'm happy to show some self-restraint for once.
All right. Let's pretend we have crystal balls and talk about 2022 because
gladly.
This is gonna be a weird year because we're on. For a second I forgot what year of the pandemic we were on.
Oh my god! Yes,
it's like the number's right there, right? It's right in the name of the disease.
It was the 19th COVID.
Pandemic started in 2018, right?
Yeah, probably. Who knows?
Yeah, that's how long it feels like it's been.
So, 2022 is going to be another weird pandemic affected year. Affected year. Sorry. We already know that E3's in-person version has been canceled this year, whether it's going to be completely canceled, replaced by an electronic version of the same.
The current word is that they can't make a digital version happen. They can't commit to it, which is so even for the greatest E3 cynics, that's stark that it fell apart that quickly that they couldn't arrange a second digital event in a row.
I don't even know what the difficulties would be. I'm so confused.
I think
Haley does it for the most part every year.
I think it's that the publishers don't get enough value out of it anymore. I think they know that their events will get eyeballs either without an E3 banner.
They gotta have it in the metaverse. That's what they gotta do.
Don't even talk about that metaverse.
I saw I'd never really seen a screenshot or a video clip of it, and then that viral one about the party circulated.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I was like, this is just Second Life but worse.
Yep.
And I have experience with Second Life.
It really is Second Life but worse. But yeah, no, my understanding is that everyone, below the hardware level, the people who actually have to pay in to appear, they just didn't find enough return on their investment last year. They'd rather just do the digital events without also paying for the extra exposure, which is pretty fair.
For a second, I thought you were saying that people would have to pay in to appear in the metaverse. And I was
no.
It's like they better be giving that away for free because it sucks.
No, I'm not going to pretend to be a metaverse expert. that much I can't do.
You don't believe in crypto? You don't want to hodl?
Oh man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, who'd have guessed that the outspoken trans lesbian anarchist would be skeptical of big tech shit?
Absolutely. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go around making 3 predictions each. 2 kind of, let's say, normal predictions and 1 wacky prediction. By wacky, I don't mean impossible. I just mean unlikely.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, now that we've outlined that, can I just say I I pre-wrote these, and I agonized over them. Just so we're clear, I agonized over what was grounded and what wasn't. Whether something counted as cheating or not, based on me being a rumor mogul.
I think if you have,
I put a lot of thought
like
into it.
here's what I'd say is cheating. If you know something is 100% true and you state it as a prediction and then say 6 months later, see, I was right, that's cheating.
Okay, that's
if you
fair.
have like vague information that something might happen, then I think it's fine.
Yeah, anything that's even remotely ambiguous of just probably, but you don't have certainty about it.
I say if you're over
okay,
like 75% certain, that's cheating.
Okay, I accept that. Then I'll make some changes actually.
Okay, let's like boost it up to 88 or whatever, so that you're not cheating and don't have to like rework anything.
No, don't. I wrote like 6 options anyway. So
okay, so you're really playing the game.
Coming up with 3.
I'm working on like predictions and rumors stuff today anyway on other things. So
all right, I'm gonna throw out one of my predictions. And this is I'm gonna start with a pessimistic one so I can hit you with the optimistic one later. My pessimistic one is that Steam Deck, which is set to finally come out this year, is going to properly run a lot fewer games than people think it will, and a lot of Steam Deck owners are going to be disappointed.
Oh yeah. That's 100% for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that one.
I think it's a good one.
I was actually when trying to think of one, that was something similar. Mostly, I'm pretty sure that the hardware on it is going to be the like physical aspect of it is going to be a big issue. Like
the ergonomics of it.
Stuff. No, like Nintendo stuff is like really good at being dropped. And I don't think the Steam Deck is going to. I think people are going to break the shit out of theirs.
That initial overhype cycle when it got first officially revealed was not just disproportionate to what it looks like in terms of its value as a product. It was disproportionate to what Valve sees this product as, I'm pretty sure. I think a lot of people are making more out of this than they should expect to get.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Proton is a... Sorry, go ahead.
For it. I don't look down on them for that. I am sorry for them if and when they are disappointed. But
what I would say is, like, Proton is a really cool piece of tech in terms of getting like the graphical instructions that usually work with DirectX working in Linux. It's amazing, but it's also not magic, and especially a lot of older games I think are gonna run like butt on this thing.
Yeah.
That's as soon as I saw some of the stuff that was coming out, I was like, this doesn't sound like a 1-to-1 type, thing. And that at any time you're talking what's essentially a port, I start to get a little bit worried. But I guess I think that it's also maybe a little bit solving a problem that isn't going to be a problem for much longer. I think a lot of people, or a lot of companies are moving past you need this specific device, and the futures in streaming or casting or whatever you want to call it. NVIDIA's been doing it for how long now, right?
Steam already has their like
Amazon's
Steam Link,
doing
right?
It. Yeah. I don't know why you just like, and there's even stuff out there like what is it, Moonlight, where if you want to, basically kind of cobble together this log into your PC and play whatever's on there, it's existed for a while. I think bundling it with a hardware thing is maybe for some people is taking that ease of it and putting it in a place, but I don't know. I'm not as excited about it. Never really have been.
All right. I guess I'll give my other predictions now. My second kind of grounded prediction is a positive one, and I'm the only person who cares about this. I also had trouble coming up with predictions because I was doing this late at night, and also I wrote the rest of the agenda after before I wrote this. I went back and filled this in. So Digimon Survive, been in dev hell for God knows how long. This is the year it's coming out. They're going to announce Digimon Con February 26th. They're going to announce it's coming out, and it's going to have a really close release date, like within a few weeks of Digimon Con. So that's finally going to happen. And on top of that, there's we know a new Digimon Story game is in development. It's also going to be announced, and it's going to come out in late 2023. This is probably completely wishful thinking, and on February 26th, they're probably just going to announce, like, I don't know, a new Agumon doll or something, and I'm going to cry at night alone.
I think it's solidly in the like realistic realm of optimism. It's just applied to such a specific weird thing that it can be disarming. But no, based on what I know, I don't think it's crazy. And I will be very happy for Digimon nerds if that happens.
I think I'm the only person my age who is the Digimon nerd, because everyone else is a Pokemon nerd and they don't know what they're missing.
Kids for life.
You're definitely not the only Digimon nerd I know, but
like, you don't want to be the one kid who's into Monster Rancher. Nobody talks to that kid, right?
oh, poor Monster Rancher. You could take your music CDs and put them in it, and it would produce custom monsters.
All I remember is the anime, which I loved as a kid,
mm-hmm.
and I remember the hero Genki just in the dub used to say, "I laugh in the face of danger."
That's very good. But no, I think Survive's probably about ready to go, even if it's not exact of like coming out like immediately afterward or anything. Like I think that one.
Oh, I don't think it's gonna be shadow dropped. That's
I
gave myself a little bit of pessimism there.
I wasn't trying to say shadow dropped, to be clear, but
yeah.
I agree that Survive will come out this year.
Okay. And finally, my out there prediction, and this is super out there, and it's probably very stupid, but I'm gonna say it anyway. We know
I love it.
It's been rumored
so good.
that Mario Kart 9 is in active development, and what's been rumored, I forget which analyst said this. It's in some games industry.
It was Sir Kantoda.
Yeah. So Sir Kantoda says that it comes with a twist. My prediction of the twist is that it's a mashup with F-Zero. It's going to be Nintendo's two racing franchises finally getting married.
I really admire this ambition. I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful vision that I dream of coming true. Permission to be a know-it-all for 1 second, and this has nothing to do with the twist part of it. I am. Let me be clear. Almost no one knows what the twist is. No one's even pretending to know, because they know they'd make themselves look like assholes. But my know-it-all contribution to this is that, yes, of course, the next Mario Kart's in development, but internally it's considered Mario Kart 10 because the mobile one had so many of the main Mario Kart team on it that it's more honorary, like, mainline entry than most of their mobile games.
Let's just call it
so Mario, it's like Mario Kart X.
No number, like
exactly.
Like
you can
Mortal Kombat.
I genuinely think Mario Kart X is a possible title for it. Yeah, I also think it could be just like the dumb like reboot thing of just being Mario Kart.
They could call it Mario Kart X and make it a crossover with Xenoblade. Don't do that. That's a really bad idea.
It definitely won't be Xenoblade. A lot of people seem to think that it's going to be a crossover element of some kind, and I think that'd be pretty. Unless it was full. Unless it was full, this is also a new main F-Zero game, then I think the crossover stuff would be pretty boring. But
the twist is, you know how they had like that BMW kart that you could play? I think it was BMW. It was like regular cars that
they did a couple licensed cars for Mario Kart 8.
It could be only those licensed cars now. no characters even.
Even better. There's
4.
driving school in the game, and you can earn your license just Mario Kart Mom.
Every racing game needs complicated licensing systems.
Actually, fuck it. That's my Mario Kart twist prediction. Is that it's Forza. It's an open world now. Forza Horizon specifically.
Let's do it. All right, okay. Kappa, what are your predictions?
So I think this one is kind of weird because it just kind of came out, but I've been thinking about like what is the future, kind of like of buying playing games, and then like basically what my idea it like came true last week with Rainbow Six Extraction on Game Pass, and I think this is kind of the future of like basically how you're going to play games. if you haven't played Game Pass version of Rainbow Six Extraction, it's kind of weird because you go on PC and you say, "Hi, I'd like to play this game." And Microsoft says, "Yep, you've got Game Pass. You can play this." And then you log into Ubisoft Connect, and Ubisoft Connect goes, "Yep, you have Game Pass. Here's your game. Go ahead and play it." I think that's going to be kind of the way that a lot of these developers are going to probably hand off. Maybe like, I don't know how it works, like digital sales wise or anything like that. I don't know who's paying who. I'm sure Microsoft's paying them. I don't know what percent, but I'm also playing it directly off of Ubisoft Connect, whatever they are, servers. And I think this is kind of a weird thing from a consumer perspective, because like, what's going on here? I don't know. But
it's something that's very friendly to the third-party partners that
Yes.
Microsoft's doing these kind of things with Square and Ubisoft and EA and stuff. And and it also, it just gives you a much bigger player base than you might necessarily have gotten otherwise.
Right. Because like, now I'm playing, my kid has it on Steam.
Like I'm pretty sure Outriders would not have been called a hit by Square if it had been on Game Pass.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of these middle, like I would call them the $39.99 games, right? This is like the new price point, I think, where you're going to start seeing, you're not going to basically just release a $39.99 game in your own ecosystem without tying it to some other form of PS Plus or Game Pass or Nvidia's, GeForce Now or something. I feel like this is going to be kind of the way it goes from now on for these mid-tier games that have a lot of development to them, but you need the player base. You need those people playing it for it to even take off. Because I've talked a lot about it times. There's a lot of times where games fail just because people don't play it right out the gate. It's bad reviews or bad this or bad that. And if you don't have the player base, the game just dies. And I think that is 100% kind of where we're going, is going to be this like, not the AAA, ultra mega Battlefields and CODs of the world, but everything else that they're not sure they're going to be able to get the eyeballs and the players that they need. I think this is the way forward, is to basically license it almost. I'm not sure if it's a license or what, but it feels weird. It feels weird clicking play on an Xbox thing, being taken to Ubisoft, playing the game with my friend who's on, whatever system he's on, and it's all just kind of, it's seamless to me enough that I don't mind it, right? It's not like I'm, going through 10 million different systems, but that to me kind of feels like where we're going. I think 5-6 years ago, it probably would have been like, okay, well, everybody's going to make their own, this distribution platform, their own Steam, their own Origin, their own whatever. But I think everybody's kind of seen now, okay, well, there's 3 or 4 real big players in the game, and we're going to let them do what they got to do, basically.
Interfacing with the main services of Game Pass and Project Spartacus once that comes out on PlayStation. Like, that's absolutely, that's the...
It reminds me when like every game had the GameSpy services tools.
Right.
Oh my god.
GameSpy or
yeah.
Oh, flashbacks.
But I mean, it's kind of a boring like prediction, because I think it's probably pretty true. But I don't see a lot of companies wanting to build their own ground up systems like they were, a couple years ago. I think now they're wanting to roll with kind of what's out there. I think that's really going to position probably Microsoft, Amazon, anybody else who's kind of put in the legwork to get that rolling. Kind of put them on the inside track. So yeah, kind of a boring prediction. So let's get a little conspiratorial. I think that the 3000 series GPUs, I'm a believer in the conspiracy. I think they're there somehow. I don't know where they are. I don't know how they're not being sold. I don't know. I think that once they announce the 4000 series, the 3000 series is about to get real available real quick. I don't know if they're going to say it's because the crypto crash. I don't know if they're going to say, but I just got that feeling that this video card, drought is going to end real soon, real quick. And then I think as soon as it does, and you can get them for regular prices again, I think the 4000 series is going to be right out the door.
So you think they're pulling an OPEC on?
I mean, yeah,
I think graphics cards.
I think it's easy to say, well, none of this is available until we decide to make, like, they're doing stuff like making those weird 3050s. They're like, it's strange to me that they've got chips for some stuff and not chips for the other. And like, they haven't shifted production to this stuff, and we're making more new PS4s because we can't make PS5s. There's just so much weird to it that I don't have like a good feeling about how it's happening or what it's happening. But I do get the feeling that there's a little bit of, well, we're telling you this and you're going to go buy this. And then it's like when they sold you 2 versions of Last of Us, right? Right? Like they know.
I don't think most of the scarcity is artificial, but I could believe that some of it is.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like
I don't know enough about graphics cards and PC shit specifically to comment on that. So so I don't know about graphics.
I get like they pop up and they all of a sudden have 1,000 cards that are being sold on this site, and like PC makers have had no problems putting the cards in their systems, and just these guys who are buying rooms full for their mining are finding them. It's just I feel like there's something going on, and I think that as soon as they figure out the price point and they can't keep selling these things in lotteries and gouging people and stuff, I think that they're going to figure it out, and then the 40 series is going to be right out the door, and they can start it all over again. So I'm a little cynical there, a little conspiratorial, but
I like that our crazy predictions so far have been very sufficiently crazy. I'm very proud.
I think I'm a 3000 series believer, conspiracy
believer. Sorry, I want to use the word truther here.
Yeah.
That sounds wrong.
Like now, Intel's getting into GPUs, AMD's up in their GPUs. I think all of a sudden NVIDIA's going to find them chips somewhere, and I hope it takes them out of the hands of crypto people. I don't know how, but that's what I'm hoping. And then I guess my third one, this one isn't very exciting, I would guess, but I get the feeling this is going to be like one of those years where it's just a bunch of weird indie games out of nowhere that are going to kind of dominate the space a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that feeling that it's been 2 or 3 years of people working in their bedroom on games that we might not have heard about, and it's going to hit the door, or these indie studios who have been kind of keeping a tight lip on some of their stuff. But I don't think there's a lot of real major like mainline games that are 100% coming out this year. They're going to suck all the space out of the room, like has in the past.
I can buy that.
I think this is the year that indie game studios can kind of make their headway if they've got something that's cool or fresh or new, and kind of feels different than what people are kind of looking for. So I could really see this being a big old indie year. Like, what was it, like 2016, 2017 when we started to get like, when did Bastion come out? That felt like the last big indie year.
That was 2011.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, the early 10s was when there was like one or two major indies a year. Yeah, Summer of Arcade, all that stuff. And then by a certain point in the 10s, it was just like, oh, there's plenty of huge indies. Yeah, but there's no individual one taking up as much space.
You could
usually
literally just go through a year playing indie games. I mean, little 5, 6, 7, 8 hour games. There were just so many of them. That
I do think the pandemic has been a season that's been good for like make like the amount of indies hasn't changed. The amount of major indies hasn't changed, but like in terms of the amount of space that each indie takes up, I think that has probably increased a bit again. Yeah. Both because of what's happened to AAA games and like that's just like a weird pandemic cultural thing to it.
Yeah, I think it's
your Hades and so forth.
Harder to get a studio of 200 people working from home, coordinated, blah blah blah. But I think if you're a 5-6 man lean indie studio, pumping them out, right, then I think it's a little bit easier maybe to get that work done if you're just kind of sticking with a very core central idea that's not needing to be super refined. So I could see that happen. I could see a bunch of little weird out of nowhere. Undertale kind of felt like that, right, when that finally came out.
Sure. I mean, I think some people had followed its development because it was crowdfunded.
Yeah.
But for those who haven't followed its development, it just kind of exploded out into the scene.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I are both pretty hard. I was literally playing Delta Chapter 2 today, by the way. My girlfriend and I are both pretty hardcore Undertale fans, and we're actually the perfect two sides of that spectrum because she was one of the original Kickstarter funders of Undertale back in the day, and I hadn't heard of Undertale until I saw it on Steam like around launch day when I was in college, and I played it on a whim. So we really are perfect parallels there.
Yeah.
And that's it's good that indies can, have that kind of thing of where you had a passionate pre-launch following, and you had people just like picking up something very abruptly out of interest, and like Nintendo, the Nintendo Indie Worlds and the Xbox ID at Xbox shows have been very good for that as well, for building up these launches and these followings for these indie games.
Lutair, you're saying something?
Yeah, I think like with how things have been, I think people have been waiting for the next like Among Us or something, like some kind of like thing that like everyone is talking about. And I don't see, like, looking at the list of AAA titles coming out this year, I don't really see anything there. So it's got to come from somewhere else.
Yeah, like I think you're seeing it now with Vampire Survivor. I think that's the name of it. That like kind of bullet hell, super streamer friendly, little indie game that's kind of taken over a lot of streaming right now, and it's kind of got that same feel as Among Us, where it's just like all the people are talking about it and they're sharing their their playthrough strategies and stuff. It's very Hades light. I don't know if you've seen it at all, but it's starting to really pick up steam in kind of like streaming circles, and that's kind of how it felt with Among Us as well, right? Like
I'm just thinking about the fact that Nintendo paid for timed exclusivity on Among Us, and how pointless that seems in hindsight. that seemed completely unnecessary. Like Hades, I get. Hades totally paid off for them. I don't know if it was necessary for Among Us. I think, like, with Among Us, people were genuinely like, "This isn't already on consoles."
Yeah,
very sure.
Wait, Vampire Survivors is it's in early access and it's only $3 Canadian.
Yeah, and it's
$3.
And it's neat. It is a very cool. That's going to be the next little, thing that takes over. I got my ears to the streets when it comes to the youth. Let me tell you, this is one of those ones.
I heard a little bit about Vampire Survivor. Yeah, that's been a thing.
Is it Crowd Game or is it Among Us? Like, does it have legs?
No, it has legs in that it's way more Hades than Among Us, but the reason it's one of those zany games where like you pick the wrong thing or the right thing, everything's kind of named a little bit funny. I get the feeling that maybe English might not be the first language of them, because like there's like Santa water instead of Saint, like holy water. It's kind of a funny thing. And then there's like King Bible and just like weird names for all this stuff. But I might be wrong, and it might just be them being funny. But it's a very quirky.
They're based in the UK, so I think they're just
there
funny.
You go. Yeah, but it's very quirky, goofy, Hades style play, where each playthrough you're kind of starting from scratch and picking up the power ups as you go. And if you pick the wrong one, you kind of ruin your whole build, I guess. But it's more designed to get like a crazy amount of bullet hell level characters on the screen. And then kind of just drop you in the middle of the zaniness, and you watch your favorite streamer kind of deal with 10 trillion bats on the screen or whatever, things like that.
All right.
I think you'd probably dig it. I mean, I think if you checked it out, I think you'd probably like it. It's right up your alley. But yeah, but that's kind of what I mean. Those are the types of games I feel like this year there's going to be always maybe like an indie game of the moment,
Yeah.
That. It's not going to have that effect that a lot of years have, where it's just all anybody wants to talk about is Witcher 3, or you know what I mean, like some kind of like game that sucks just all the air out of the room. I don't see that this year. I know that there's obviously one huge one on the horizon, but I think it's huge but niche at the same time, where I don't think it's going to have that effect. So
which game is that, or is that
Elden
for later?
Ring.
Oh yeah, Elden Ring for sure. What are your predictions?
Okay, I'm just going to read all three of these, and you decide which ones you think are the more realistic ones. I'm very excited about this. And as I mentioned, I wrote a bunch of them and then narrowed them down.
Okay, let's hear
based on judgment and input from you. Okay, I predict that after a couple years of just like one cinematic reveal trailer at a time, I think Obsidian's going to have a big moment this year where it's a lot of info on multiple of their games, where Avowed will come back and we'll learn a lot more about it, and also maybe stuff that's been on it that hasn't been announced yet. Probably not Outer Worlds too. That one's probably a long time away. But I think Obsidian's working on a lot of stuff.
Is Grounded on early access now?
Grounded's still not in 1.0, so okay. that could also be part of that. But yeah, I think Obsidian's been gearing up for a big splurge.
So
I think they're due.
Yeah, that's realistic.
Yeah,
I give that a Grounded.
Thank you. Grounded. I give that a wolf spider.
All right.
Callback.
Oh wait, I didn't even realize the pun. Oh my god.
Oh man, that wasn't intentional.
That was not intentional.
Nice.
I didn't even realize that. Okay.
That's awesome.
All right. Go me. Sorry. What's your number 2?
No problem. My number 2 is, and I know this is, we don't have Facecam on, behind the scenes peek for your listeners out there. but imagine I'm staring you directly into the eyes when I say this.
Okay.
I predict that Star Fox for Switch will be announced this year for a 2023 release.
Wow.
I am very confident in this, believe it or not. And it's not based on info, really. It's just a feeling, mostly. That and I heard like ages ago that they were working on like a Switch prototype for a Star Fox game. No updates on that since. So this is it's a gamble, but it's a gamble I believe in.
I could see that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I think they're gonna make a big. I think if and when a Star Fox happens again, I think they're gonna still try and make a big deal out of it. That's basically what I'm saying.
I could see it because I'm one of like 10 people who played Starlink, and I was like, this is almost the perfect Star Fox experience. I could really see them working with that formula and putting something very, very, very good together.
Yeah, Starlink got really sank by the Toys for Life thing.
Yeah.
And I think they know that, and I think they know what sank Star Fox Zero besides the fact that it came out the holiday before the Switch.
Yeah, I think that the toy angle, it was right at the time that Skylanders was kind of collapsing under its own weight, and Lego Dimensions had kind of as well. Yeah. And then I think that I think that kind of like was, I don't want a bunch of these useless toys that I'm going to end up throwing out, on top of it. So people really didn't jump on it, but the game itself was really good. I mean, just a very good Star Fox experience.
And then they also just wasted money on the fact that they spent a lot of money on those toys and then made them completely optional to the game.
Yeah. When I played it on like, I don't remember where I played. I think it was on like Ubisoft's whatever their little version of Game Pass. I had like a free trial of it for a month. I basically just played that game for a month. It was so good. But yeah, it was like you click a button, you have all the little toys on there, and you just go into a menu and change them rather than physically. So I mean, they weren't necessary like at all. So
yeah, so I think that's definitely a possibility. It seems a lot more realistic than melding Mario Kart and F-Zero, so I give that a Grounded as well.
Damn it. Okay, that was supposed to be my crazy one.
Okay, so what is your...
Yeah, I themed these to each of the major consoles, if you couldn't tell. I have one Nintendo one Microsoft one, and one Sony one. And my Sony one is that I think Spider-Man 2 from Insomniac will get a full E3 demo level reveal sometime in the year. I don't think it's that soon. It's only January after all. But I think it'll happen before the end of the year. But also, importantly, we won't hear anything about Wolverine. Nothing about the other game.
See, I actually give that lower odds. I think we're not going to see any footage of it until 2023.
Wow, that would be. I mean, that'd be pretty crazy. That's the year it was announced for.
As much as that meme has been going around, though, where it's like Sony's like, all I've got is Spider-Man. They want to wait a little bit before they kind of go into desperation mode.
Forget about that meme. That's not why I'm talking about this. I mean, most of their major, Sony seems to like. I mean, not always intentionally. Part of it's just COVID stuff, but like. So Sony seems to like big windows for their big games like Horizon and God of War and stuff like that. And I'm basing this in large part based on like the timings of when those games got their like gameplay trailer moments relative to when they're supposed to come out. Because yeah, Spider-Man 2 is supposed to be next year.
Is Miles Morales? They got everything out for that. All the PS5 stuff they were meaning to get out, is that all out now? Haven't been.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, once Gran Turismo and Horizon come out in the next 2 months, that'll be everything from the first PS5 event, first party wise, will be out.
All right.
Because God of War was 3 months later. I remember these things.
So Lutair, let's hear what you've predict. I know words. Let's hear what you're predicting.
Okay. Yeah, mine are. I kind of recategorized one from grounded to out there. So.
All right, let's hear them.
Yeah, we did a lot of that calculation.
Yeah, my first one, which is ostensibly my only grounded one, is that when Braid Anniversary comes out, which I think is slated for this year, that
it got delayed, but yeah, it's currently this year.
Yeah, that it's gonna spark like basically a 2-week period where everyone is losing their marbles over it, and like people who hadn't played it the first time around are gonna discover it and be like, oh my god. And then kind of just completely disappear off the radar again for another 10
Bold. I'm unconvinced. I mean, it's not just that I don't like that game. I think the Jonathan Blow of it all is too public at this point.
So it's gonna last for 3 weeks. I'm kidding.
yeah. No, okay. So instead, it's going to be people losing their marbles over people being like, actually, and then a third week.
Oh no, discourse! You're predicting discourse. Put it back in the box.
Please. Film Twitter, but film Twitter, but on the internet.
Do you know how many predictions that were primarily discourse based that I wrote and then scrapped?
Yeah.
I'm
time
sorry.
for my first out there prediction. The Mario movie is going to be good.
Ooh.
Also bold.
All right.
I mean, I think contrary to perhaps like film Twitter opinion, I think Illumination has like a floor of quality that they don't descend too much further past. Yeah. Which is not the same thing as being great or anything. I watched Sing because my girlfriend likes it, the first one. Sing, the one that everyone hated it because the marketing lasted for so long. That it was pretty fun. It was fine.
So it'll be competent, right?
Yeah, that's what I expect. Yeah, it'll be confident. People will be weirded out by some of the choices, but I think it'll be fine.
I mean, I think when you got a cast like Charlie Day, Keegan-Michael Key, Anya Taylor-Joy, Seth Rogen, you've assembled a pretty good cast.
Yeah.
Was Emoji...
I'm avoiding the proud of it all.
No, Emoji wasn't Illumination. That was Sony.
Emoji was Sony. Yeah, Emoji movie continues to be funny because that was the same studio as Into the Spider-Verse. and that was their next project. They went from Emoji movie.
Guys, we got to pull it back. We have
to Oscar-winning cultural phenomenon. Yeah,
we earned our paycheck with that one. Now,
no, Illumination is just Minions and Sing.
Okay,
and also Mario.
It's a me.
They're perfect partners for Nintendo because they're very malleable. Nintendo can be exactly as in charge as they want to be.
But yeah, I'm hoping the Mario movie is going to be good. I believe myself less and less the more I read this text on the page, but
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to beat you up about it.
They've learned a lot since making that last Mario movie, I hope, at least.
Sure.
A cultural classic in all the ways you don't want.
Yeah.
Charlie Day as Luigi is gonna be such a slam dunk, though.
Yeah, for sure.
It's gonna be awesome. You better get Luigi's Mansion stuff to do.
All right, and what's your third prediction?
My third one kind of actually cropped up in the middle of our conversation because I originally had something about the Steam Deck, but I feel like we already touched on that. But I think that the quote play to earn games are going to become annoyingly large this year, and then some kind of government crackdown is going to happen or like pushback from somewhere on a legal level, and then they will completely just crash. So people will invest money into them, and then lose all of it.
Christ, I hope so.
I believe that could happen. Oh,
I
gosh.
hope not, honestly, but that's my prediction.
Yeah, it's never great when we have to worry about crypto and NFTs.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like loot box NFT system that like gets is attached to a ostensibly pretty fun game otherwise, and then that just blows up, and then everyone's like, "Oh God, this is the worst thing." And then a government agent is like, "Isn't this taxable?" And then everyone's like, "No, shut up."
This is like
like-
what
it's
happened
like-
with
it's
loot
like-
boxes, right?
Yeah, it will be like loot boxes 2.0 because it's actual currency of some kind, even if it's a digital currency but it has some kind of ratio to dollars.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, I don't know that there are going to be any like, um, I mean, I don't know which crypto games are coming out. I don't follow that space at all, but I can totally see it, one of them catching all the crypto bros and it becoming a thing, and then it becoming a big enough thing that someone in Congress is like, oh yeah, we better look into this. So
Yeah, the legal stuff's starting to get there. Thank God. Starting to, yeah.
all right, so let's switch gears from predicting to taking a look at what's coming up in the rest of the year. So what games are you folks looking forward to?
Oof. Yeah. Just I guess since I mentioned earlier, I'll start with Elden Ring. I don't know. It's hard to describe myself as interested in it. Like I'm interested in
This is unfair.
like what other people are gonna do with Elden Ring, or how other people are gonna experience Elden Ring, because it's not gonna be me doing it. You know?
I'm interested in watching it get speed run at GDQ.
Yeah, yeah, or like
That's my relationship.
someone playing with Donkey Kongas, or Baller Beats.
We could have just not talked about Elden Ring. I know you guys don't care. That's fine, and I do care. That's fine.
No,
It doesn't
like,
matter.
if you're looking
but we
forward
don't
to Elden
talk
Ring,
about it.
yeah,
Yeah, I am looking forward to Elden.
Talk
I am
about
looking forward to Elden Ring, but I don't want to talk about it.
I think
Well,
it's a
I'm
game
looking forward to in the
that,
sense
like,
that I want it to come out, I guess is how I'll put it.
I agree.
oh, I am not rooting for it to fail. Don't get me wrong. It's just like, I'm super interested to see now that it's changing the formula a little bit from it's like these tightly connected corridors and going full open world. I'm interested to see how players respond to it and whether they respond positively to those changes. It's a big step forward for From Software, and I really want to see where they go with it, because it's very much like these really interesting games that just aren't for me. But I'm still really interested to see how they kind of push the medium forward.
I appreciate you saying that.
What else are you folks looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Multiverses.
What?
Oh, is that the Warner Brothers fight?
It's the Warner Brothers Smash clone. Yeah, I mean it's.
Is that the one where Khaleesi can fight Scooby Doo? Sorry, Shaggy.
It's Arya Stark and.
Sorry, I don't know anything about Game of Thrones.
Yes, that's okay.
If you see the new Space Jam, it kind of lays it out for you. You get a lot of the flavor for what they're going for.
Oh, there's lore and backstory. True. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Just I think he just means in terms of just laying out here are the IPs that Warner Brothers prioritizes.
It's weird too, because like it's not the ones you would think. It's like Mad Max and like Game of Thrones and like other ones that
fucking Austin Powers.
Yeah.
What?
Why was Austin Powers in that movie?
Can I play as LeBron James?
LeBron James has been rumored as a DLC character.
That would be hilarious.
It would be insane. Yeah, obviously.
It'd be worth
Michael
it just to
Jordan
have like LeBron James fighting Norville Shaggy Rogers.
Absolutely. Injustice includes extra characters as like skins of their main characters. Michael Jordan would be such an expensive skin to get on LeBron. I'm sure. No, I'm just excited to have a new dumb Smash Bros. Style marketing cycle to engage in. It's the shallowest fucking thing, but it was a lot of fun for me as a Smash Ultimate fan. So I'm looking forward to doing that, but in the stupidest kind of crossover possible, because that'll only make it funnier.
Warner owns like DC. They have a deep well of characters to draw from.
Oh, they have 4 DC characters in the game already. Yeah, on top of Gandalf, Shaggy, Rick. But the game's also like based on like playtests and stuff. Like the game's also more mechanically ambitious than you'd think. Like every character is really unique mechanically.
Yeah, I think a lot of people saw that with the Nickelodeon one that came out. That like the Smash formula works outside of Nintendo. It's not like they've got a secret formula for the fighting part of it. It's just if you can get enough interesting, characters to put around it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think there's a level of craft and polish in Super Smash Bros. That kind of puts it above a cut above the Nickelodeon one. But yeah, it's not like it's a patented formula, and it's definitely one that other developers can take a look at and make something new, unique, and hopefully not as cynical as PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale.
yeah, that was the one I wanted to make the comparison to, because like PlayStation. I don't care about the mercenary corporate IP stuff of that. Like that's stupid, but who cares? PlayStation All Stars' problem was the polish level, right? It was making it so that the only way to win was to do your final smash, which is bad. That's a bad mechanical decision. But anyway.
Lutair, is there anything you're looking forward to?
Let's see. Yeah, I think the number one I put here was Total War Warhammer 3.
Yeah, that's on my list.
That's happening.
Because, I'm
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Oh shit! I need to pre-order it.
It's on Game Pass, so.
I don't have Game Pass.
I'll pitch it to you after that. It's $1 for a month. You got nothing to lose.
Wow. Okay. Do you get like a referral bonus or?
So it comes out February 17th, 2022. Yeah. All right.
Oh my gosh.
They got some mechanics in there that I am extremely interested in. I mean, because like I said, this was on my list too. And the last 2 Warhammer games have mechanically done a lot different. And I know to like casual, observers from the outside, maybe it doesn't seem like that, but they really have. Troy adds a lot of little wrinkles in how the heroes and the armies fight. And then the Three Kingdoms one kind of took it in an even further direction with the city, the way the city layouts and things like that can kind of develop and build.
I haven't played the Three Kingdoms one. I was like really interested, and then it kind of got middling reviews, and I kind of cooled off on it and never bought it.
I think if you went in expecting it to be a hardline historical sim, like the past kind of like Shoguns, Rome's, etc., where I think that's what the people who are disappointed. But as far as like the actual gameplay, I mean, I thought it was amazing. Like I really think they put a lot of effort into making units less paper rock scissorsies, and in a good way. And they've got a lot of units that can like change stances, equip different weapons, trade movement for defense or attack and things like that. They did a lot with the individual units of the game that I think makes Total Warhammer to be in hopefully a really good place, because there's a lot of ideas I think that Total War messes with it doesn't really commit to, and then it feels like they went all in on those 2. Troy for being kind of like a tale of heroes rather than armies, and then I feel like they kind of did the same in a lot of different ways with the Three Kingdoms, where okay, well, what does it look like when you have 10,000 people on a battlefield? And you might have 1 or 2 hero generals dueling, but these are gigantic scale battles that you don't really see in other games. So Total Warhammer has the best of both those worlds, right? You've got the heroes, you got the giant armies. So I think they've learned a lot, and the way their DLC factions played, like later on in the series, were all fantastic. So I've got very, very high hopes.
Yeah, I've been really happy with the Total War Warhammer series so far. Like each faction feels pretty fun to play. Like some of them are a little bit similar to each other, but like there's some very different ones. Like if you're playing pirates or if you're playing like one of the chaos or one of the roaming ones, it can be like a completely different campaign basically.
Right. I that's exactly what I kind of respond to too. It's like you can play the boring Empire guys that are, archers and pikemen and cavalry, but then if you want to get real crazy, you can play, the Necromancer faction where you got nothing but disposable armies and you can lose 90% of your army in a fight and it doesn't even matter,
And weirdly, that's like Skaven. just throw more rats at the problem.
You sometimes actually win by losing more. So.
Yeah. Oh, let me just build an underground nuke. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
You can do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Skaven is a really weird faction to play. I'm not good at them.
They're based on almost like losing to win. Like if you have battles where you like just basically wipe out your things, you'll get these like rituals for losing so many things that you can summon like gigantic war machines or guys that'll, like he said, that'll basically nuke a whole town, just like drive it in half.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, really and they have like the Undercity thing. But yeah, what do you think of the new factions? I think they announced the Grand Cathay and Kislev.
Kislev, yeah. Kislev to me is probably the most interesting because I like to play that type of civilization where you can really just, if you can hold your own and get through mid-game, you become a powerhouse. And that's what that devotion mechanic looks like to me. Like you just keep winning your battles and holding your own. Because Kislev in 2, what I was saying, my worry about Kislev is you're basically on the worst position in the map as Kislev. You are surrounded by vampires, Empire, and then eventually Chaos. And I can't think of a worse place to be. So if you can make it to that second phase of the game, I feel like Kislev has the biggest potential to kind of snowball. You're going to have to win some real hard fights early. But that's interesting. Cathay, I don't know. I really want to see some gameplay videos with Cathay.
Yeah.
Well, they look cool as hell. That's for sure, But it seems like they have 10 million units, and I don't know how that balances out because I think the civs I most enjoyed, really, when it comes down to it, they have like 4 or 5 units and then the upgrades for 4 or 5 units, and it seems like they're going the other way with Cathay and just kind of like very specialized units, which has a lot of potential as like an RTS, fan. But I could see people getting really frustrated with like, oh shit, my anti-cavalry unit is going up against a bunch of flyers and getting decimated.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all our total time for today.
That's the only game I had, so that's all my time.
You're perfect. You're perfectly fine, Lutair. Can I do one more?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, it's a very quick, straightforward thing. Game I'm looking forward to this year is Stray. You're a cat. You're a fully rendered 3D mobile cat with a little backpack. It's very cute.
I saw a thing for that.
It's an adventure platformer cat game. I mean, what else is there to say?
Incredibly cute.
Backpack.
A cat pack?
A cat pack.
I'm fine with that. It does look interesting. I haven't seen enough gameplay yet for me to really get hyped about it, but I think it could be really good. Annapurna's published a lot of great games in the past. They had a little bit of an off year last year, but
they also had 12 minutes.
Yeah, they had 12 minutes. They had Maquette. Neither was good.
We talked about that last episode. That kind of.
I slammed Maquette quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't need to slam it anymore.
I was being nice about it.
Nice. It's all right. I slammed Seth Gable and Bryce Dallas Howard. They're never going to appear on this podcast now.
Oh no.
Oh no.
What a loss.
I'm sure they're quite nice people. But
I'm sure they are.
their performance was not good. I got a bunch that I'm looking forward to, like Kirby in the Forgotten Land. That looks great. It looks
Same.
like Kirby Super Mario Odyssey, but with Kirby.
Mhm.
So that
It
looks
looks
dope.
awesome. Yeah.
I mentioned Digimon Survive earlier. I might be the only person looking forward to this. The Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative.
Yes. I is really good. I really enjoyed so I agree.
Yeah, so I didn't think they'd make a sequel to it. I was so shocked when they announced it, so I am down for more Uchikoshi nonsense. And I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Sports Story, which has been in development forever.
You poor guy. You've been waiting for Sports Story for so long.
For so long, for 2 years. Just give it to me.
I'm really sorry.
I'll take it whatever state it's in, sidebar. Just give it to me.
A couple more from me.
Yeah, sure.
Dragon Age 4. I think this is a big old question mark for lots of people. One, if it even comes out, right? But two, is this a rebirth or a swan song? I could honestly see it being either at this point. I don't have a good feel at all for what it is, obviously, because all we've seen is...
Well, it's got their multiple reboots.
Yeah, and
that didn't help.
They've brought some people back, let some people go. It's been kind of an interesting... Who knows what's happening? I don't know if they're saying we're going to get this right and no more Bioware magic, or if this is just, look, let's just get something out the door and then be done with it. I think if that's the way it goes, I think that's probably it for Bioware.
It's hard to imagine they're being rushed on it at this point. Like,
I don't. Yeah.
I mean, if they were being rushed on it, we'd have seen more already.
Well, and it's I think a lot of people assume, okay, well, Anthem, that's EA, and then you start to get the reports like, no, that was them. That's what they wanted.
They have a lot of workplace cultural issues to work out for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully that stuff's already been improved. The news about the fact that they're hiring, full-time remote full-time remote positions are now open for all of their positions, for all of their jobs, and applicants were previously required to move to either Canada or Texas, even 2 years into a pandemic. Like that's certainly a good start.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
that's an improvement. Yeah, just going full remote support.
The lore nerd in me wants to really go back and reread the books and replay the games and stuff, and I'll get there. But
I've been considering doing a replay soon of Dragon Age, so I'm with you there. It's such a weird place. It's so weird to be in a position where 3 of those came out in 5 years, and now it's been a decade almost.
Yeah.
2014 was when Inquisition came out.
Wow.
I'm guessing it's not coming out until 2023.
I would guess so too.
2023 is what I've been told multiple times at this point.
I kind of want to replay Inquisition, and knowing what I know now about Solus. Sorry, is that too much of a spoiler? Where the game's like 7-8 years old now, so
fucking Solus. My god, I hate that guy so much.
Yeah. Trespasser was a wide open DLC. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that, like, because I put DA4 and Starfield on here, and both of those to me are like, if they see this year, cool. If not, I mean, I really doubt they're going to. But
Sure.
Starfield, I think, has a lot of potential. I think people are going to be looking for that, but I don't think either are really locked in. I don't know about Metroid Prime. I have no clue.
What is going on with that?
I can say things about Metroid Prime.
Sure. What's going on with that?
I think you're going to see a trailer from Prime 4 this year. I don't think it'll come out this year, but I think it could be announced. It's been, by all accounts, it's been making very good progress since it got rebooted. It's just COVID mostly that extended it further. They really didn't want to be preemptive with it twice, like how that they announced it like right when it started development the first time.
Right.
Yeah, they learned that lesson already. But no, from what I've heard, Prime 4 is going okay, and once they have that re-release of the original Metroid Prime announced this year, I think the marketing of those two will be intertwined a bit.
Yeah, the two other ones I had, Marvel XCOM.
Oh
yeah, Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns.
Midnight
Yeah,
Suns.
I don't know. The name is kind of.
Well, that was a real group.
Yeah.
The Midnight Suns with the no was a '90s team, and then they changed it to a U to make it gender neutral.
Yeah, I mean it's. I hope it's good. I mean,
I'm interested. I'm definitely intrigued in it. It's weird that it's so card based, but
that's what I would say too.
But the fact that it also has like social link stuff, like
so
it's ambitious.
It's gonna be like tactical RPG Persona, but with Marvel characters.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay, so I guess that makes it Fire Emblem.
Yeah. No, it's very.
it's
very
just Marvel Fire Emblem. All right, I'm down.
It's very Fire Emblem-y, just with cards instead of the physical models on the battlefield so much. But yeah, it definitely looks interesting. I mean, if you're a Marvel nerd at all, it's a cool, unique lineup. Like, yeah, there's like Iron Man and Wolf.
Lutair,
there's Iron Man.
What were you saying?
Good. Yeah, go ahead, Lutair.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
No worries.
I thought I heard something. I did want to mention in the tactical RPG space, Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. That's happening.
I'm excited about Sparks of Hope, but I just a couple days ago I heard some bad news about it. Should I talk about this?
Sure.
I know this is annoying. I'm sorry. I try not to be an asshole about this kind of stuff, but it genuinely interests me, and I think it interests people to hear about it. So that's why I talk about it. Okay. Yeah, I've been told that Rabbids has been delayed out of 2022.
Okay. I can live with that.
I've been told that it's been having very serious development issues. Yeah.
I mean, this seems like, and maybe I'm under Monday morning quarterbacking this, but it seems like moving from that really the grid-based movement, that really regulated movement, to the radial model they use in XCOM and other tactical RPGs.
Yeah, the more free roam movement was definitely a big leap that I wouldn't be surprised to see if they faced some challenges on refining that. I'm pro it. I didn't like the grid system that much, but yeah.
I think
as long as they have the time they need to work on the ambitions they have, then
that's good.
More power to them. But I mean, I'm not buying the game new anyway. So
Kappa, what were you saying?
I think that the last one had a lot, like, basically created an expectation for the second one, weirdly, right? Like, I think the first one was a labor of love.
No one had any expectations for the first one.
No one had any expectations for it, and then it became critically acclaimed and a cult classic and all these things. It's a lot of expectations they have to deal with.
It was great.
No, it is really good. I think its difficulty curve is a little steep, and I'd like to see them address that. But I'm very interested in it because I mean the Galaxy aesthetic is so gorgeous that would be enough on its own. Just doing that's Mario Galaxy focused would be enough for me.
The last one I had was Saints Row. I don't know how well Saints Row does when it doesn't really have a GTA to bounce off of. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
It's been so long since we've had a GTA now, and 5 almost feels like a parody of a parody. And I know Saints Row takes everything up to the 10th level, but it looks like they're trying to kind of soft reboot this one.
They're definitely reeling it back in.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of potential for Saints Row to stick a big old shoe in the door where GTA, I guess, doesn't care to because they're so in love with GTA Online.
GTA Online. Yeah, no, I'm cautiously optimistic about the Saints Row reboot. I just don't think I think I'm past wanting to play Saints Row, but I want that game to be as good as it can.
Yeah.
I don't root for things to fail generally.
Unless they're crypto games, those can all fail.
Of course. Obviously, yeah.
I think I'll throw in a couple of indie mentions that I'm interested in. Harold Halibut, which is like this claymation sci-fi adventure game. That looks like it's up my alley.
She Dreams Elsewhere.
Oh
That's one
yeah,
I've been
that
looking
one
forward
looks
to.
great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like I guess the best comparison I could make is horror Undertale, maybe psychological
Yeah.
horror Undertale, which I
Yeah.
guess also fits Omori, but this is
Yep.
a little bit different. Then After Love EP, I'm really excited to play like a narrative indie game from Indonesia, which I've never done before.
Totally.
So going for that.
Yeah.
Neon White, and that basically looks like I guess it's Cloud Built meets Paradise Killer, which is a very
I
weird thing to say.
I don't get Neon White at all. I can't believe it's the Donut County guy. Like every part of it is so weird. It doesn't seem like my kind of gameplay, but I'm rooting for it.
It's
'Cause I loved Donut. I
it's
did
so
love
bizarre.
Donut
I
County.
just hope it works. So.
Yeah, same.
Oh yeah, it
I
also has
want
like a card battle system a la Chain of
Yeah.
Memories. Like it's 4 different things mashed into one. Let's see what happens. It might.
Yeah,
it might be bad.
I want weird things to succeed both creatively and otherwise. So yeah, more power to you, Ben Esposito.
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to mention?
I think that was it for me. I don't know.
It's a solid list. Varied. Yeah.
I guess one thing I'm not like looking forward to it, but it's something that I've been keeping an eye on is Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah.
That kind of it had an early access come out, but it's not fully released yet.
Yeah.
I think.
Is it story complete or how does that work?
No, apparently like they're saying that they're making a bunch of changes and like your save won't necessarily carry over from the early access to the final product. But that's as far as I know for that. From the couple of articles I read on it, like it seems like flawed but good is the like I don't know. It's more tepid than I was hoping it would be because Baldur's Gate's a fun series for me. And it's been how many years since Baldur's Gate 2?
Yeah. Baldur's Gate coming back is cool, but I have mixed feelings about how it's played out.
Yeah, I love the studio doing it. It's just there's been like revolution after revolution in the past, even like 5 years when it comes to that space. That like I think you've either like ground down the people who are gonna really be into it, or you've like I don't know how many new people are getting excited for those types of games, like people who didn't go through the first 5, 6, 7 whatever games. So I don't know. I love them. I'll definitely play it. I'm going to be excited for it, but I don't have a good feel on where it's going to go. A lot of what made their other games successful is the kind of the humor, and Baldur's Gate always feels a little, I don't know, over the top D&D, like very mired in super seriousness. So, it's hard because like so many of these games, I feel like any one of them could be delayed to next year. I don't think like I've got a good feel on even what's coming out this year. So I try not to get my hopes up too much because everything seems like it's one, report away from being delayed and we're going, yeah, it makes sense. Whatever. See you next year.
Yeah. Exactly. I think this will be I think this year will be a little better on that front. Just as a vague bit of optimism to offer. I know I literally just said it that a Nintendo exclusive game is getting delayed, but
I mean,
it'd be hard for it to be worse.
A Nintendo exclusive game has come out in 5 days. Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Hell yeah! I was moderately interested in that game, and then everything that leaked about it made me so much more interested in it.
Because that's really interesting that people are so much more enthusiastic about the leaks than what they've actually shown off. Because that 13-minute gameplay video looked dire. So
I think Game Freak has been very conservative with their marketing campaigns recently, and I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. But it often means like hiding the most exciting stuff, the most interesting stuff. Granted, in this case, I skipped a lot of the marketing, so I didn't watch that 13-minute video. I was like, well, I'm probably buying this at launch, so
makes sense.
So I don't need to watch it. But yeah.
All right.
Just hoping, just in general, just to get like, I know it's been a crazy year, obviously for everyone, but just hoping to get more like a good feel of like it sounds weird to like crave the marketing cycle, but it feels like it's been like in such a crazy state lately, where I don't get a good feel for like what's coming out when even. So like if you get excited or okay, I'm gonna save up, I'm gonna purchase this or whatever.
Like,
I don't know.
Are you hoping for a like demos are failing on the E3 stage, nature is healing kind of moment?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
people being like, here it comes, get ready, get excited, and then
they pulled out of their conference hall reservation before Omicron was even discovered. E3 situation's way worse than I was expecting.
Yeah, so like we don't get an E3. It feels like we even getting like the equivalent of like the Sony days, the Microsoft days. Those have been getting canceled. It's
I like the directs.
I think Microsoft and Sony have gotten better at it. Initially, they were bad
they
at
absolutely.
it, and now they're much better at it. So if we're getting direct shows now instead of stage shows, I'm gonna miss some of that pomp and pageantry because it's funny to me.
Yeah.
And I laugh when it fails. But
and it kind of is honestly convenient as someone who doesn't have like an ear to the door of the industry to just have one like weekend where people are like, okay, this is all the stuff that got announced.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of like spread out over months where I can miss a bunch of stuff and
there's
like, they said that.
There's a great service for that where you can have all of your relevant game news compiled in one easy place called Game News Roundup, published every at the start of the month.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Avocado Games Cast.
We're not a source for
anything. Near that in depth.
We've told so many lies here. Most unintentional, some on purpose, like little lies like Randy Pitchford is our best friend, things like that.
Friend of the show,
friend of the podcast,
friend of the podcast, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's been a great roundup of predictions and stuff that's coming up in 2022. So if you'd like to keep up to date with us, you know where to find us. We have a website, avocadogamescast.wordpress.com. Every episode's there. There's a link dump. There are fact checks. There are links to cool things that you can read about. There's funny images that I make using screenshots for all the episodes. I made them all in Paint 3D and MS Paint. So
yeah. You upgrade to Windows 11 yet?
No, not yet. I'm probably gonna do that on my laptop. Wait, did they make Paint 3D better?
They made both paints better actually.
I'm actually psyched for this now. Finally, I can make better images.
This is the actual biggest development of this recording.
Yeah, for sure. This is my game of the year right here. You can also subscribe to us
Windows 11.
Windows 11 game of the year. Right now, my game of the year is Wordle. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Just search for Avocado Gamescast and make sure you check out the Avocado, the community that spawned this wonderful discussion that we're having right now at the-avocado.org. If you actually type out the word hyphen, God help you. I mean, you're adorable, but God help you.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it is great to do this again in like a bigger forum than what we'd been doing before, which was like
just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
We can make it if we try.
I don't remember the tune of that song. I apologize.
Building castles in the sky.
Who's saying that, and whom do I have to apologize to?
Don't remember.
Don't apologize. Pay the rates.
So simply apologize to the world.
Music in general.
Yeah.
I'm not bad at singing. It's a remix.
Yeah. It's the version you never heard.
I think I have to apologize to Bill Withers and Grover Washington Jr.
Yep.
Okay. We'll look up exactly whom I have to apologize to for the link dump.
It'll be in the link dump.
Check the link dump.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.